George Gopen here. So, the second movement of The Wasteland, a game of chess, with its frightening title, if you know what it refers to. And otherwise, it doesn't matter. You can get a lot out of it without knowing that. Has shown us a high-class lady in the first of three segments, who boudoired her vanity table, surrounded by so much of what one would put on oneself to hide the real self from the rest of the world is perhaps a suggestion. And she's surrounded by ancient reminders of rape and violence and torture and sex gone bad. And then in the middle section, we have these two people who are clearly very good at getting on each other's nerves. Now, when we unearthed in 1971 or 2, Eliot's original manuscript of The Wasteland, which he gave to Ezra Pound, and Ezra Pound made all sorts of comments and cuts and cut out half the poem and left us with the brilliant thing that it now is. There were also a few comments from his wife, Vivian. Vivian and Tom Eliot had problems from day one, but they did have areas of life where they really got along well and had great fun. And one was dancing, and the other was she was a muse for him and a very good critic of his work. He believed her when she would tell him, oh, this is great, or this needs work. And she made just a few sparing comments on that document, but one was next to this passage. And she indicated that he had imitated the two of them very well indeed. So we have another little personal bit of Eliot in that highly tense, rather neurotic scene. And that's upper middle class. And here's the third of the three scenes, and it's working class and people who are at a pub at the end of the evening. They've been at the pub for some time, apparently. There are these two ladies who are talking. Well, one of them does most of the talking. And then in the background, you hear the barkeep, the pub owner, warning everybody, hurry up, it's time. I have to close precisely at, when I was in England, 10:30. Literally, if I was open till 10:31, they would close me down. So 10:30, you're all out of here. So at 10:20, I will announce last call, and at maybe 10:15. And at 10:25, I will say, time to get out. Hurry up, please. It's time. It's time to leave. Hurry up. Come on, get out. Gotta close the door. Pressure of time. We've talked about time before. Now it's going to be there. Now this is, of all the different scenes in The Wasteland, this is one that I think it's hard to not encounter whole at the beginning of talking about it. So even though it has a little bit of length to it, I'm going to read the whole thing to you. Let me get the text up so you can follow along. Here we go. When Lil's husband got demobbed, I said, I didn't mince my words. I said it for myself. Hurry up, please. It's time. Now Albert's coming back. Make yourself a bit smart. He'll want to know what you done with that money he gave you to get yourself some teeth. He did. I was there. You have them all out, Lil, and get a nice set. He said, I swear I can't bear to look at you. And no more can't I said. And think of poor Albert. He's been in the army 4 years. He wants a good time. And if you don't give it him, there's others will, I said. Who is this? She said. Something of that, I said. Then I'll know who to thank, she said, and give me a straight look. Hurry up, please. It's time. If you don't like it, you can get on with it, I said. Others can pick and choose if you can. But if Albert makes off, it won't be for lack of telling. You'd be ashamed, I said, look so antique, and her only 31. I can't help it, she said, pulling a long face. It's them pills I took to bring it off, she said. She's had 5 already and nearly died of young George. The chemist said it would be all right, but I've never been the same. You are a proper fool, I said. Well, if Albert won't leave you alone, there 'tis, I said. What you get married for if you don't want children? Hurry up, please. It's time. Well, that Sunday Albert was home. They had a hot gammon, and they asked me in to dinner to get the beauty of it hot. Hurry up, please. It's time. Hurry up, please. It's time. Good night, Bill. Good night, Lou. Good night, May. Good night. Ta-ta. Good night. Good night. Good night, ladies. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night. Good night. Four characters. I remind you that Eliot called this poem, before he called it The Wasteland, he called it He Do the Police in Different Voices. Quoting from a Dickens novel, a very kind lady who had as one of her foster children a kid who had no schooling but had taught himself how to read and who enjoyed reading newspapers about police reports, doing the police in different voices. And presumably the defendants and the lawyers and everyone else. It was in the newspaper article. And I think you have to do this poem in different voices if you're going to keep straight who's who in the conversation. I mean, doesn't it help you that someone who, after many, many, many years, finally figured out exactly who was saying which line, does it in slightly different voices so you can tell when she's speaking and when Lil is speaking and when Albert has a say for a moment, and then the barkeep. It took me a long time to figure out that there were 4 different voices and that they could be separated. So now you have them separate. What have we got here? When Lil's husband got demobbed, not a term we use anymore, I don't think. Demobilized. In other words, the war was over and you were allowed to leave the Army or the Navy or the Air Corps, whatever you were in. You were demobbed. Funny term because you were put back into the regular mob instead of being in the military mob. He's coming home, and this lady's talking to a friend of hers in the pub about her conversation with Lil on a different occasion. I told her, you know, you look lousy, Lil. You want to put yourself together and make yourself look attractive because he's been away for 4 years and he hasn't presumably have any women in all that time. And he's coming back to you. And if you look terrible and unattractive, you're going to lose him. Now, the worst thing is he gave you all that money for you to get a new set of teeth because your teeth are lousy and you didn't do it. And I know you said your teeth are bad because you've had so many pregnancies. Well, what'd you get pregnant for if you don't want children? And the barkeep keeps saying, hurry up, please. it's time. Let's look at some of these lines. I didn't mince my words. I said to her myself, this is poetry of a very different sort. This is, again, Eliot saying, we can do anything in poetry. We can talk about anything. Who ever talked about getting false teeth or not getting false teeth in a poem before? Whoever talked about these kinds of things with this kind of frankness? And what kind of poetic lilt do we have? When Lil's husband got demobbed, I said, that's 5 stresses. I didn't mince my words. I said to her myself, that's 5 stresses. Hurry up, please, it's time. Hurry up, please, it's time are 5 words. How many stresses? Hurry up, please, it's time. I hear it in 2. Why do I hear it in 2? Because I've been in many pubs. The owner of the pub would say in a musical kind of cadence, hurry up, please, it's time, hurry up. Nobody every night is going to want to say over and over, hurry up, please, it's time. They say, hurry up, please, it's time. Just like the person selling strawberries in the market. Strawberries, strawberries, not strawberries. So 5, 5, 2 is like punctuation. Now 5 is Shakespeare. I am the pentameter. When Lil's husband got demobbed, I said, I didn't mince my words. I said to her myself, you could even get 6 out of that if you wanted to. Hurry up, please, it's time. Now Albert's coming back. Make yourself a bit smart. How many? Now Albert's coming back. Make yourself a bit smart. 7. There are no septameters in poetry. The French write in 6 all the time. Alexandrians are in 6 beats. Hexameter is rare, but happens occasionally. Nobody writes in septameter unless they're writing in 14ers, the worst of all meters. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Next line. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. You're bored at the end of 2 lines and I haven't even given you the words. You'll want to know what you want to know what you've done with that money he gave you. Is it 6? Is it 7? Is it music at all? He'll want to know what you've done with that money he gave you. Is more prosaic than anything he's done so far. To get yourself some teeth. He did. I was there. And just when these 2 lines have broken all the rules, 6, 7, 7 or 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it returns to where we started. As if there was a gravitational pull that says if you're a poem, you've got to have a default value expectation about where rhythm is going to take you. Doesn't always have to be the same number. The most famous and oft memorized poetic form is ballad meter. We have 4 against 3, alternate. Da-dum, ba-dum, 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 da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. In Dublin town, where I was born, there was a fair maid dwelling. Made every lad cry well a day. Her name was Barbary Allen. It's one of the reasons that so many of those ballads are so memorable. It's so easy to go ba ba beep ba ba da bum da da beep bum ba ba bum. Well, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To get yourself some tea. He did. I was there. You have them all out, Lil, and get a nice set. We're back to 7s. We're back to it being prose. written in poetic length lines that sing a different kind of music. He said, I swear I can't bear to look at you. He said, I swear I can't bear to look at you. A 5, maybe a 4. He said, I swear I can't bear to look at you. Maybe a 4. And no more can't I. I said, a 3, 5, 7, 4, 3. It's flowing. It's flowing like conversation does and like music does. Now, please compare this scene to the first one in this movement. This lady who is doing nothing but gussying herself up in ways that belie what the true figure actually looks like. And here we have a lady who so does not do that that she's going to be in danger of losing her husband, according to our interlocutor here, our persona. No more can't I said. And think of poor Albert. What a line of poetry. And no more can't I said, and think of poor Albert. A poem? He's been in the army for 4 years. He wants a good time. It's at least 6. And if you don't give it him, there's others will, I said. 5 or 6, hard to count. But it's kind of nasty in its rhythmic edge because of it. Oh, is there? She said. Something of that. I said, then I'll know who to thank, she said, and give me a straight look. What a beautiful way of doing back and forth. It's a jagged rhythm back and forth, not just the fact that these are bits of dialogue. If you don't give it him, there's others will, I said. Oh, is there? She said. Something of that. I said. And I'll know who to thank, she said. And give me a straight look. Hurry up, please, it's time. And it's as if you ladies, if you get out of order and what you're doing, I will bring you back to a default value. This is what's going to rule the time. The timing. At their backs, they always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. Now, I've just alluded to another poem, Andrew Marvell to his coy mistress. We'll look into that a little bit more when we come to Eliot's allusion to that poem. I bring it up here because this guy is at their back. And he's saying, it's time, time's winged chariot is hurrying near. They've got to move and get out. Hurry up, please, it's time. If you don't like it, you can get on with it. I said, look at all the monosyllables. If you don't like it, you can get on with it. I said, Shakespeare uses monosyllables when he gets to his strongest moments. He either goes hypersyllables or he goes monosyllables when he gets down to the nitty gritty. Sorry, nitty and gritty are 2 syllables. Gets down to the nuts and bolts. You don't like it, you can get on with it, I said. Others can pick and choose if you can't. Others is the only 2-syllable word in that line. Beep, 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 beep. If you don't like it, you can get on with it. I said, others can pick and choose if you can. But if, and Albert has to be a 2-syllable word, that's his name. Albert makes off, it won't be for lack of telling. And only when it resolves itself into a period and at the end of the line, a double stress position, are we allowed to spread our wings into a 2-syllable word? Others can pick and choose it. Albert makes all. So here's sex in the white plant again. If she doesn't make herself sexually attractive enough, she's going to lose the husband who's going to fly into some other pair of sexual arms instead. You ought to be ashamed, I said, to look so antique. Antique. What's antique in this poem? Well, the Carthaginian Wars. And the Sibyl at Cumae. And Dante Alighieri. And her only 31. Can't help it, she said, pulling a long face. Now, has this ever appeared in a poem? Ever? It's them pills I took to bring it off. She had an abortion. Is this the first aborted poem in English literary history? Might be. It's them pills. Maybe there's another one or two floating around somewhere, but not with this kind of language. I can imagine some highfalutin 18th century poet referring to the intentional loss of a child in language that nobody could understand unless they already understood it. It's them pills I took to bring it off, she said. She said, 5 already and nearly died of young George. Statistics don't usually have a place in the poem. Chemist said it would be all right, but I've never been the same. Look at the monosyllables dominating it. The chemist said it would be all right, but I've never been the same. A 9-stress line? I mean, there are no boundaries left. He won't be contained. It's up against, you are a proper fool, I said. A compact and balanced 4. Well, if Albert won't leave you alone there, 'tis, I said, what you get married for if you don't want children. A discussion of sex in the wasteland. Wow. Hurry up, please. It's time. And the necessity of time. The instantaneous, forcible quality of time reasserts itself. And then an extraordinary 2 lines. Well, that Sunday, Albert was home. When Albert came home, that Sunday they had a hot gammon, a hot ham. Now, you can imagine, weren't too much meat available in England during the First World War. That wasn't during the Second World War either. It was the mid-1950s before England got back to having a regular supply of, a plenteous supply of meat. So they had a hot gammon. This is a mullet. This is something splendid, unusual, luxurious. And they asked me in to dinner. They invited me to get the beauty of it hot. They could have shared it with her as leftovers the next day, cold. Come on over and have a sandwich of that great ham we had last night and didn't invite you to. But they thought of her as someone so important and so close to them that they wanted her to come and get the beauty of it hot. And this is a metaphor that stretches through many other poems in Eliot, of being able to understand the present moment in its glory is better understood by referring to a good dinner than by anything else you can think of. Now, he could have talked about sex, I assume, if they were free enough to do it in 1922, but they weren't. So the best they could do is a hot gammon. So out of all this angst, there's angst in the first part of movement 2 with that lady surrounded by Philomela and anxiously applying all the makeup. There was angst in the middle scene with those 2 people just could hardly speak to each other without being ready to fly off the handle. And there's angst here in the narration of how upset she was talking to Lil and how disapproving she was of Lil. And then all of a sudden, there's this moment. They were friendly enough to invite her into dinner, and she was able to get the beauty of it hot, this meal that probably nobody in her community had been able to afford for 4 years. It's a stunning moment that looks completely ordinary. Or is it an ordinary moment that turns out to be completely stunning? And it's time for it to be over. You can't do better than that. Hurry up, please. It's time. Hurry up, please. It's time. And then, who could put this in a poem? A bunch of people at the door of the pub saying goodbye, good night to each other. Goodbye, night, good to see you. Good night, Bill. Good night, Lou. That would have a lot of Bills and Lou's in poems. 19th. Good night, May. Good night. That the number 170 there's not part of the poem. It's a line number. Sorry about that. Ta-ta. Good night. Good night. And then it transforms. Transforms if you recognize what's there. If you don't, once again, if you don't recognize what's there, it just gives you one more line of saying good night. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, ladies. The D reappears. Good night, good night, good night, ladies. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night, good night. Now, maybe you know that American barbershop quartet song. Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. We're sad to see you go. Maybe that's the illusion that it clicks in your mind. And that would be a cute way of ending it. Sure. And maybe he had that partially in mind. Might well have. But one thing I'm completely convinced he had in mind is Shakespeare's Hamlet. Shakespeare's love interest in that play, Hamlet's love interest in Shakespeare's play, is Ophelia. She's the daughter of the chief counselor of the realm. She therefore was not high enough status for them to allow Hamlet to marry her. So everybody knew that whatever they were doing together wasn't going to be paid off in marriage. She was never going to make an honest woman of her. And when that became apparent to her, and then her father is killed by Hamlet, the two things together are too much for her. And she snaps, she breaks, she goes crazy. And eventually she goes out. And what does she do, folks? She drowns herself. Fear death by water. Wow! Is this another Wagnerian leitmotivian move? Is this another motive of Beethoven brought in, played in a different key? Wow. And her last lines on stage, she comes into the court and she's dazed, she's out of her mind, and she's got her arms filled with flowers, just like she'd been to a hyacinth garden. Her hair is going to be wet. And she goes around and gives different ladies in the court, maybe different people in the court, different flowers because they symbolize different things. And when she finishes giving away her flowers, she makes her exit speaking to the ladies. And what is the last line of Ophelia? Good night, ladies. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night. Good night. And the stage director might as well say, exit dying. Now that's an illusion that if you know it, it adds so much more to this scene. As the jolly townspeople at the door at the end of a nice evening out at the pub say goodbye in their language, and it melds into, it transforms into Ophelia's last words. When she comes in, she sings a crazy song. And the words are a little strange, but if you know what you're listening to, you see she's saying that she's had sex with Hamlet. And she's never going to be made an honest woman because he cannot be allowed to marry her, and that she has gone crazy because of this. Sex in the wasteland juxtaposed to sex gone bad in Shakespeare. Now, if he keeps on juxtaposing these sexual relationships with this age, oh, and that age, oh, and that age, oh, tragic. The poem gets richer and richer with each new arrival. So here we have these three scenes, these three different ladies or sets of lovers. And these, similar outcomes, because the first lady ends with, we will play a game of chess. And we know what that means if we know about the Middleton play. Women, beware. Women. And we wind up with a third scene in which women ought to beware. Women. Women who come steal your husband. Women who criticize you for not getting new teeth. Women, beware. Women. Next time we go on to the third movement, the central movement of the three, which contains the center of the poem. And an extraordinary thing happening in that center. I'm telling you, in my years of teaching, which number 52 now, I've never encountered anything as astonishing as what happens in the middle of the third movement of The Wasteland. I hope to be back with you then. Bye now.